Tell us what, in your opinion, this recall is all about, and what would be the best outcome for the benefit of Jefferson County's 86,000 students whom we all desire to benefit. Ms. LaSalle?
To me, this recall is all about a community, a large community that is the size of Rhode Island, who is very concerned about the direction that public education is going in Jeffco. This is not something we should ignore. I think this recall is all about a community saying, hey, we need to put our kids' interests first. We need to make strong decisions that are best for all students in Jefferson County Public Schools. Thank you.
Kim Johnson, what's the recall all about? What's the best outcome?
I believe it's one of the benefits is seeing so many people involved in this process now. I loved how full this room is. We should care about our schools. Our parents, students, community members, educators, everyone should be concerned about what is happening in our schools. And I believe that it's important that we have choices to make. I myself am an independent voice, and I am not representing any one particular side, and I encourage you all to seek out the person that represents your view, not that represents what somebody tells you to represent, but represents your view.
Well, the recall is all about the fact that we have a right in this country to have recall elections. And a lot of people in Jeffco are very upset. So, we are going to find out in November which side wins. I am running because Jeffco needs me. It needs experience, the experience that I can bring, and I am not someone who's going to be recalled, at least not yet. I'm not elected yet, but I would hope that you will consider voting for me and vote for me because Jeffco needs experience. Experience matters.
I chose to run for school board before the recall effort began. I'm ready to sit at the table with anyone who has students' best interests in heart. That said, I also chose to do this because I'm deeply concerned that partisan agendas are taking a place at the table, and the only sacred mission we have is our students. So I'm choosing to run for the school board because I know that it's going to matter as we move forward, that the sacred place for students is held, and that we make sure that there's trust in the election process, and that local control means elections that are based in grassroots efforts and the will of the people, not outside money, not outside agendas, but a true and committed effort for our students, my 2 kids and 86,000 kids.
Change is difficult. And when we look forward to a 21st century vision of what our education should be, instead of the past 40 years of status quo, it's hard for some people. I believe that is what this recall is all about. And my plan is to continue to stay focused on what's best for our children and move forward with what we're doing. I think we've done some really great things this past year. Building a new school, funding our children equally, a pay-for-performance plan, a wonderful evaluation system, and how about that new teacher contract that was unanimously voted on? I think that is what is important, and change can be difficult.
I believe this recall is about control. I think that people feel like they've lost control of their school board. When you look at the purpose of a school board and where it's most effective, it's when it's in control of the community, by the community. Our efforts are geared towards students, and I think people feel like the focus of the school board has been more towards political agendas. We have seen over the past few school board elections, not just here in Jeffco, but across the country, across our state, we have seen millions of dollars poured into local school board elections, and this money's not coming from this community, it's coming from outside. And I think regardless of where that money's coming from, when people feel like they don't have control of their community, they have to stand up and take it back, and that's what this recall is about. It's about taking back control of our school board. And I think the optimum result would be to get rid of the political agendas and start over with a community-focused school board. Excuse me.
Well, Senator Anders, I think it might help to talk a little bit about what it is not about. For example, the recall could not be about lower achievement because in the last 2 years since we've been in, student enrollment is up, graduation rates are up, and achievement is up. It certainly can't be about lower salaries because in the 2 years prior to our election, there were no raises whatsoever. In the 2 years since we were elected, we've increased salaries and benefits about 7.5%. It certainly can't be about funding disparity because for the first time ever, this board has equalized funding between all students countywide, regardless of which public school they choose to attend. And finally, I don't think it can be about transparency because for the first time ever, we've streamed internet and opened meetings up to the district by spreading them out throughout the district and not just having them in one room. We've streamed union negotiations online. So what it's about, I believe he said it best, it's about control, and the best outcome is to vote no.
Well, the first thing everyone needs to understand is that being on the school board is a very difficult, challenging, painful job, thankless. It's because decisions are difficult and so close to home. Each child is affected by those decisions. I personally believe that all the individuals on the current board, all 5, are being faithful to their point of view and trying to accomplish what their constituents ask them to do. Unfortunately, this district is split 50-50. One side doesn't trust the other side doesn't trust this side. This is a terrible dilemma. It's untenable. When I was on the board, this type of division was there. And I worked very hard to reach out to both sides, and there are people in this room who know that. That is my marker. That is what I will try to do. And that is why I'm running for the board, because I think that this division cannot hold if Jeffco is going to be successful. Thank you.
Well, we've heard a couple of comments that I think are appropriate. I believe Matt mentioned earlier that the recall is about control. I think that's a very important point to understand. And we heard a little earlier from Ms. Williams that change is difficult. I like to say change is hard. I think we put those two together and we understand what the recall is really about. Number one, things have to change. We had a contract that said that if 2 teachers with the same experience were vying for a position, you could not consider performance. You couldn't pick the best teacher for that classroom. You had to flip a coin to see who would be teaching those students. Things have to change. But when you step up and say, you know what, this isn't right, we are going to take on the hard issues and make certain that our students are being best represented and best served in this district. We're going to set specific, measurable academic achievement goals, and then we're going to hold ourselves accountable to them. When you step up and change the order of how things have accumulated over previous boards who voted for that coin flip, it takes some work and it will be met with some opposition, but at the end of the day, it is worth it because Jeffco students deserve a great education.